Bullseye is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Smooth, refreshing Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. 76 brand gasoline. If you depend on your car to perform, depend on 76 gasolines to keep it a performance car. Wendy's, where better food makes it a better value. Ameritech, your link to better communication. And by your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC truck dealers.
It's the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, which this afternoon played host to Sesame Street on ice. Tonight, the Bulls try to play Grinch in front of the home crowd and steal a win from the Milwaukee Bucks. Good evening, everybody, from the Bradley Center. Dan Roan, nice to have you along tonight. We presume you're watching from inside somewhere. If that's the case, stay right where you are. It's a ridiculously cold night here in the Midwest. Slam dunk another log into that fireplace and join us for the Bulls game tonight. We'll try to keep you warm and toasty here on WGN. Of course, the big storyline this week in Chicago has been the return of Dennis Rodman to the lineup. He had 20 rebounds Wednesday night against the Knicks, and last night, influencing the crowd in Chicago, had another big game against his former teammate from San Antonio. Bulls and Spurs at the United Center. Scottie Pippen showing that Dennis not the only guy that can get a rebound. And Luke Longley, 16 points last night. Dennis Rodman's been pumping him up, and apparently Luke has been listening. David Robinson up high, 22 in the first half last night, 30 points and 12 rebounds for the game, but not enough to keep his team in the game. Tony Kukoc off the bench for 2 here. The Bulls up by 7 at halftime. And Michael Jordan posting Avery Johnson at will last night. Shooting back on track last night, MJ with 28 points. Big night for the bench crew, though. Judd Bushler, 3 from the corner. He and his bench mates had 29 points last night against the Spurs. And Rodman, 21 rebounds in this game and a slam dunk to go along as the Bulls win at 106-87. That's their 5th consecutive victory, and they're doing it all at home. And with the win last night, Phil Jackson surpasses Dick Motta to become the Bulls' all-time winningest coach. Phil with 357 victories, and he's done that in little over 6 seasons, where it took Dick Motta 8 years to get 356. So congratulations certainly in order to Phil Jackson tonight, who becomes the Bulls' all-time winningest coach. Doing a great job with this club this year, too. Bulls with the best record in basketball as we get going tonight. And right now, let's head down to center court, join Phil Jackson along with Wayne Larrivee.
Well, thank you very much, Dan Roan. A pleasure to have alongside Phil Jackson. And, Coach, congratulations on becoming the club's all-time winningest coach last night.
Thanks, Wayne. You know, I guess it's something to be congratulated about, but it's really a club thing. It's a team victory. It does speak of success because you're not around if you don't win in this business, and the longevity of being with this dynamic ball club since 89-90 season has allowed this to happen. And, you know, the guy that I replaced as the all-time leader in wins, Dick Motta, had a wonderful record here and a wonderful run with the Bulls.
This ball club, you're off to a 15-2 start, yet players and coaches continue to say that we're not quite there yet.
Right.
Where aren't you there at 15-2?
We're not flowing, and we're not really, our offense isn't really flowing well. I think our pressure defense still has to be exploited. I think we're doing the things like rebounding, getting tough, playing spurts of the game. But you know that you got to play about a 36-minute, real good 48-minute game. Right now we're in that 30, 28-minute range where we'll have those 3 or 4 minutes that are exciting in a quarter, and then the lull will happen. And when you get to a point sometime around the turn of the year and the midpoint of the season, you've got to have that built up so the teams, all of them getting better in harmony, you'll be able to meet that match at that time.
I thought your pressure defense, especially the second half against New York, was reminiscent of your championship years. Is that what you thought, Phil?
Well, I thought they could build it up, and they brought it up to a level. Dennis got up, and he started working over Mason a little bit, and we got some traps at half court. And last night I just held that off a little bit because we had a good lead. We were going well. Avery Johnson is not Mason. He's got a lot of speed. He's tough to trap. He's a wily point guard. And so we knew back-to-back games would be a difference, so we eased it off a little bit.
Dennis Rodman. You've won with Dennis Rodman. You've won without Dennis Rodman. What does he do to the mix? What does he add to the mix of this ball club?
Well, that second opportunities that he gets the ball back are, you know, irreplaceable. That's one thing. The other thing is just the kind of energy level that he brings to the team. the ability for him to play somebody like a David Robinson like last night, or someone that's, we think is going to be a tough challenge night in and night out, and for us not to dedicate a whole defensive special double teaming task to him is very important. Now, we may throw some help tonight on Vin Baker because he's overmatched Dennis by about 3 inches and 25 pounds. But we'll see how it goes tonight because this guy can play some defense and rebound, and that really solidifies part of your game.
We're looking forward to the game tonight. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Wayne.
Phil Jackson, head coach of the Chicago Bulls, back upstairs to Dan Rowan.
Okay, Wayne, thank you very much. And before we send you out to commercial break, a look at the other major event at the United Center last night. One of Chicago's all-time favorites and one of its best players ever at a ceremony officiated by Lacey Banks. Bob Love got the words out. He was wet at halftime of the Spurs-Bulls game last night before 22,000 of his closest friends. If you can excuse a little play-by-play here. He proposes. She accepts. The ring. The kiss. The kiss. The kiss. And the shot by Bob Love. He had to knock one in before he walked off the floor. Congratulations to Bob Love, married last night at the United Center. We come back to Milwaukee with more on the Bullseye right after this. Dan Rowan back at the Bradley Center. Welcome back to the Bullseye. As we get into a little more detail about this Milwaukee Bucks ball club that you'll be seeing tonight. Always been a tough one for the Bulls to play, especially in this building. And the Bucks, continuing to restrike their image even after the start of the regular season. When an NBA team decides to clean house, the brooms usually come out at the end of the season. But not in Milwaukee. Bucks management watched and waited for almost a month, then pulled the trigger on 2 major deals. The first brought veteran point guard Sherman Douglas from Boston in exchange for Todd Day and Alton Lister. Then Milwaukee becomes the latest club to roll the dice on underachieving center Benoit Benjamin. The price, Eric Mobley and Eric Murdoch. Only a coach like Mike Dunleavy with a virtual lifetime contract would risk his neck with Benjamin. But Big Ben's chimed in with solid minutes in Milwaukee. More importantly, Vin Baker doesn't have to play center anymore. Already an all-star, Baker says he has a lot more fourth-quarter energy now. He proved it Thursday night with a career-high 32 points and 15 rebounds in a win over the Clippers. The Bucks haven't won a lot of games in the 90s, but they sure can draft.
Dudley up on him. Robinson at the top. 10 to shoot. 13 on the game clock. Number 13 hits a big shot for the Bucks. 100-99 with 10.1 seconds remaining at the Rose Garden.
Milwaukee's other front court phenom, second-year forward Glenn Robinson. He had a helter-skelter rookie season after signing late, but the big dog's really barking this year. 22 points a game, never met a shot he didn't like. But every team needs somebody willing to step up at the end, and this dog's been bred for it. Between the two, Baker and Robinson have taken close to half Milwaukee's shots, and that's a problem for the Bucks. They only get about 95 points a game, and that's not enough. Two-guard Johnny Newman's a great shooter. He just doesn't get that many. Neither he nor point guard Lee Mayberry average in double figures. Milwaukee's not a very deep team either, especially since those 2 trades. Marty Conlon and Terry Cummings are the frontline replacements at forward. Douglas and disappointing rookie Sean Respert come off the bench in the backcourt. Milwaukee's foundation is poured, but the house needs a lot of work yet, and the trophy case won't be filled for quite some time. Maybe it won't be filled for some time, Johnny Kerr, but consensus is the Bulls are playing a team tonight that's headed in the right direction. What do you think of what the Bucks have done this year?
Well, I think what you talked about, moving Vin Baker back to the 5 spot, the power forward spot. He's as good as any power forward in the league right now, and it's a shame they make him play into the center position. He likes to post up other players there, but that's not where he should be playing on a permanent basis. The addition of Benoit Benjamin, well, they took a chance on this guy that's been around. So did the Bulls on Dennis Rodman. A big chance, and if it works out for him, it gives them a chance to put the big dog in a small forward. It gives them a chance to put Baker in a power forward, and with Benoit Benjamin up front, that's a pretty big line.
These guys, John, now have a chance to move around on the floor some. How do the Bulls match up with them tonight?
how are the Bulls going to?
How will they match up with these two guys?
How they match up? This is going to be something. They like to get Scottie Pippen playing Johnny Newman, and they used to use him at the small forward, the 3 spot. Tonight, Newman will be at the shooting guard, and that looks like that would be the guy that Harper might end up with. But they'd sure like to bring him back up to that 3 spot and have Scottie guard him. It keeps Scottie's attention and doesn't let him roam as much.
You know, the Bulls have not played well in this building, John. What do you think their chances will be tonight?
Well, when Michael's good years, they've done a pretty good job. But I remember last season, just before Michael came back, the Bulls won a game at home, and I think Ronnie Harper hit 3 3-point field goals in the 4th quarter to win it. So it's time to get a little revenge here back at our home, away from home up north.
Okay, John, thanks very much. We look forward to hearing from you and Wayne in just a few minutes. Johnny Kerr down at half court. You know, the Bulls do have the best record in the NBA at this point. And the reason why? They're smart. They read books when they're on the road. And tonight, Dr. Randy Salerno introduces us to these traveling academicians.
Welcome to this week's edition of Road Scholars, and for that matter, the only edition as far as we can tell. You probably don't realize this, but every year when the Bulls go on their West Coast road trip, the coach, Phil Jackson, likes to give the players books. Books that will not only enlighten them, but entertain them on those long nights on the road. But we were wondering here at Road Scholars, do the players actually read the books? Do the books do any good? So to help us out, we enlisted part-time center, part-time forward, part-time literary investigator, William Wennington. William?
Thanks, Randy. We're out here at the Berto Center talking to the guys about the books that Phil gave us for our first road trip. And I'll start off with mine right now. I got Dirty White Boys by Stephen Hunter, and it's a great read. It's very action-packed. Unfortunately, I'm not quite finished it yet. I'm about halfway through it. Don't have a lot of time to read. I usually read just before I go to bed, and I tend to fall asleep before I get through 20 pages. So, but it is a great book, and I'm very grateful that Phil thinks of us and gives us these books to read on the road, and I think it's a great idea. And let's talk to some of the other guys and see what they're doing with their books. Coach, just want to ask you, why do you hand out books on the first long road trip?
It's companion. These guys have been sleeping with their wives and their significant others for so long that they need a book to sleep with when they go on a road trip. And so the companionship sometimes is warmth and comfort on a dark, stormy night.
Jason, what was the book that Phil gave you this year for your road trip?
The book was called Hoops.
I can't remember the author of the book.
The book Phil gave me was it was actually a Montana.
I think it was
The title of the book was A Walk Through the Tombstones.
Rabbit Run, or something like that by John Updike.
Who knows? Who cares?
What book did I give you?
You gave me Dirty White Boys by Stephen Howard.
That's Hunter, right?
Hunter, sorry. Howard, Stephen Hunter. Did you enjoy that book?
I enjoyed the book. It was a little bit disturbing.
I got started on it, but as the road trip, went longer, I kind of got bored with it and put it down and started watching more TV. Sort of rambled on for quite a while, but I'm done with it now. I can move on to more interesting things.
Are you saying the book wasn't that good?
No, I'm not saying that. I just, the things on cable were more interesting, so I kind of just watched a little bit.
It was a very good book. I only got about the first 2 chapters, though.
Haven't had a chance to get to it yet. I looked at it, I read the cover inside in the back, but I haven't had a chance to touch it yet.
Seems to be the consensus.
I figure every pregame, right before the game started, I read about 3-4 pages, so I should be finished by the first round of playoff.
What I appreciate is we don't actually have to do a book review. That makes me happy.
The book report's due next week.
So what are you going to do this Friday when Phil asks for his book report?
Hopefully I'll have the book done by then.
But if you don't, I have crib notes and I have a sheet already made because I read that book 2 years ago, and I can help you out for a small price. Do you think this is a good idea?
Well, I think it's a great idea. I was a little disappointed because I understand your book was Dirty White Boys.
All these books refer to him. Now look at this guy. See, he hasn't shaved for about a week. He's a dirty white boy right now.
All right, that about wraps it up from here at the Berto Center. And Randy, Phil gave me a book for you, and he thought that it would be great for your mentality and that it'd be an easy read for you. But if you do have difficulty with it, he can help you out.
That's very funny, Bill, but for your information, I'm halfway through that book already and plan to have it finished by Christmas, but thanks for your consideration. That's going to do it for this edition of Road Scholars. We thank you for joining us, and we plan to never see you again from here. Dan.
That's really too bad. I was looking forward to seeing Randy cultivate that look on WGN News, but I guess we're out of luck in that department. We'll step aside for a break, come back with another literary heavy hitter, Bulls beat writer Terry Armour from the Tribune, when we continue from Milwaukee right after this.
There's a new game in town.
Big Ben on display tonight at the Bradley Center. Benoit Benjamin, the Bucks' new man in the middle. A big obstacle for the Bulls to overcome here tonight. Right now, let's check out some of the action from some other games in the NBA last night. Start out west with George Karl in Seattle taking on Sacramento. What a night for Hersey Hawkins. That went in. So did 7 3-point shots last night. 34 for the Hawk in the game. Kings trying to hang on in this game. Hurley, the Sarunas Marciulionis. This is their first game in 6 days, and the rust was showing. 13 3-pointers went down for the Sonics. Gary Payton drained that one. And they did some damage inside, too. Roll and rock. Sean Kemp inside as the Sonics win it 120-103, and that's it for the Kings' 5-game winning streak. Also, Shaq's coming back. He's practicing Monday. They didn't need him last night against Charlotte, did they? Nick leaves it for Dennis Scott to Penny Hardaway. He had 28 points in the game last night. Will Dennis Scott get this kind of room when Shaq comes back? I don't know, but they've been playing some great ball without him. 105-95 winners last night over the Charlotte Hornets. Right now, back down to courtside to bring in Terry Armour. And T, let's talk a little bit about Orlando. They're coming to the United Center Wednesday, and it looks like the big man will be with them this trip.
Yeah, he's going to be there. The interesting thing I found out from talking to the players, Danny, is that they really think they're looking forward to it because they think that Shaquille O'Neal is going to put the Orlando Magic offense out of sync a little bit because they're not used to playing with them, I guess, for the past 3 weeks. So I think what they're really worried about is that he might come in and he might want to do a little too much. Maybe he might be charged up, want to really take it to the Bulls. But they really think that with Anthony Hardaway leading the team that he's probably going to put the offense out of sync right now.
Well, we've seen a lot of guys post up for them in that video that we just had on. Dennis Scott's been doing a lot of that. Penny has too. But when the big guy comes back, Terry, there's really no room down there.
Yeah, it's very similar to the situation that happened last year with Michael when Michael came back for 17 games. All of a sudden you have to make him the focal part of the offense. But I guess with Penny Hardaway running the show, it's not going to be that difficult.
I'm not surprised he got healthy fast enough to come back and play in this game, are you?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I had heard early last week that he was targeting that game to come back. He might actually play, I think they play New Jersey on Tuesday. He might get some playing time just to get something under his wing a little bit.
Well, we look forward to that Wednesday night. We also need to talk about the Roy Tarpley situation in Dallas, which apparently Terry has come to a conclusion. He's out of the league and apparently will not be coming back.
I would think not. I think if you bring Roy Tarpley back now, if he appeals and he's reinstated, that pretty much makes a mockery out of the whole drug issue in the NBA. The guy has had a lot of chances, I guess 3 chances, and this is his final chance. It really shows that there is a problem there.
You know, it's interesting to me, and he pointed this out, trying to defend what he's been doing, that one of his teammates had been arrested for marijuana possession, had not been suspended and was continuing to play. His problem was with alcohol. Of course, he was in a situation where he was trying to get back to normal, but he said his teammate, was not penalized by the league, and yet he was.
Yeah, I think a lot of players that have those kind of problems think that there could be a double standard, but hey, the guy messed up and they told him he couldn't mess up.
Okay, T, thanks very much. Terry Armour from the Tribune, the Bulls beat writer, joining us from courtside here on the Bullseye. We come back to wrap things up in the pregame show right after this. I suspect a touch-up job. Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen and company against the Bucks. Here tonight from the Bradley Center. We'll get to the game in just a second. First, our next telecast of Bulls basketball on WGN comes your way Thursday night. You won't want to miss it. The first meeting between the Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks since that memorable game in Atlanta last spring. Steve Smith gave the Hawks a lead they thought they'd be able to protect, but Michael Jordan, wearing number 45, knocked it down at the buzzer for the Bulls' victory. The rematch is Thursday at the Omni. We'll have it on WGN, a 6:30 Central Time tip. Bulls and Hawks here on WGN. That'll do it for us tonight on the Bullseye. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned. It's the Bulls and the Bucks next on WGN.
Bullseye. Bullseye is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Smooth, refreshing Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. 76 brand gasoline. If you depend on your car to perform, depend on 76 gasolines to keep it a performance car. Wendy's, where better food makes it a better value. Ameritech, your link to better communication. And by your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC truck dealers.